All right, my good friends, this is Mr. Davis. This is Monday. I'm making a Tuesday instructions, so this won't be a really long video or anything. I'm just going to tell you what to do, and I'm going to kind of put you in charge of doing it and doing your reading. I'm not going to make anything turned in homework because you just finished your DBQ. And I'm reading over that, so kind of give you a break from that, but I do really need you to read. So I'm going to type, once you get this, I'm going to tell you what to read to keep pace. And basically, you should be reading tonight to keep pace. You should read about China, the Ming Empire, the Qing, who they were, and then the Japanese. So we're still in this... we're still in this land-based empire. So like I said, we're in a couple of days with this and then move on to the maritime stuff. So I am going to just make a quick video for you to watch on Edpuzzle, and then you just do some reading. And then also I'm going to put up a practice DBQ for you to read. And I want you to get quick at reading the docs. So like I'm going to put this up, and not necessarily for you to write anything, but just to get used to timing yourself and see how long it takes you to read and analyze documents. Because on a 45-minute DBQ, you want to be spending probably no more than 12 minutes or so reading the documents, and in your head coming, taking your notes down, and then getting ready to write your thesis statement with about 32 minutes to go. So I'll probably put that in the instructions for you to do, just to challenge yourself. Now, this is an AP class, so you do have to do some extra reading. I would imagine that some of your classes are getting a little bit lighter at this point, so you're going to get out of it what you put into this from here on out. We got about 25 days until our exam. So it is kind of, I'm going to do this several times where it kind of put you in charge of it. If you don't do it, then you're hurting yourself. So not necessarily something you need to turn into me tonight, just reading and watching this video. So let's look at, I just want to go over a few things, but I've been reading your DBQs. I've even sent a couple of them to one of my buddies that teaches at another school in Tennessee to read over and just give me tips to tell you back. But I didn't put your names in them or anything like that. So DBQ Pros and Cons. So first off, if you followed the context formula and the thesis formula, you probably were pretty successful in the opening paragraph. And I saw that. It fired me up because you did a really good job. The context, putting the time period, and then listing some facts. And then your thesis statement was although A or although X, comma, A plus B, therefore C. And it was really easy for me to identify your thesis statement, and really it was really easy to see if you made an argument, an evidence-based argument. So if you did that, you were probably pretty successful. So keep on doing that. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, you need to go back and look at the thesis formula, and that's what I would recommend you writing your thesis statements like from here on out, really. Also, some other pros and cons. This is open notes, so you can look through your notes and other resources. You just need to be efficient. Remember, you only get 45 minutes to do this, so you want to be as efficient as possible. This will really help you for context. It can really help you with outside evidence. So just be organized. I'm making some spice charts, as you might have seen. I made a Unit 2 spice chart for you. I'll be making a Unit 3, and I might have some topics for you to make spice charts, but we want you to have notes, but we also want you to we don't want you to get lost in your notes, like searching for one fact and spending 10 minutes to find one fact. And again, I do not recommend you trying this with another person, because it's not going to be beneficial for yourself. It's unethical to type this to people. It's also, you're going to lose your focus. You could cost yourself a chance of getting the credit. Well, in turn, something that you might say to somebody might help them get the credit. So you're wasting your time, and they're getting the credit and you're not. So you don't want to be doing that. It's also it's a way too short a time to converse effectively. You'll have too many voices in your head. You'll just end up to me, I think you'll be writing a really rushed, kind of random essay. Okay, another good point. Some of you guys hipped really well and got to the point, and that was awesome. You told me the historical context. You told me who it was from and who it was sent to, the point of view of the person, and what was the purpose. Why was that document created? So some of you guys did a really good job, and it only takes like a sentence or two to do that. And if you do it using, right facts, you're going to get a point for that. So great job. You want to hip 2 documents. And if you do 2 documents, you're going to get 2 points. Some teachers say to hip every document in your paragraphs because you do not get penalized for incorrect facts in the DBQ. They're not going to say, "Oh, you did your thesis correct. Oh, but you didn't hip that correctly, so we have to take your thesis statement away." You do not get any points taken off for writing any incorrect information. They're only looking for if you have the right, if you hit the right boxes. If that makes sense. Another good point. This is the first one you've done since we've been gone, and it was a really good start for a lot of you. A lot of you guys, I was getting fired up. Now, some of you guys you might need to pick up the pace. You might have to, if you're giving me a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, that's just not going to cut it. So it's I would say probably a minimum of 4 to 5 paragraphs. It does not have to be a novel, but it can't be a paragraph. That's impossible. So if you think that's what it's going to be, you got to really kind of do some soul searching and figure out whether or not you really want to take this or not. Another positive, we have about 3 weeks. Number 6, you don't have, like I already said, you don't have to write a novel. And another thing here, you don't necessarily need a conclusion. You don't need to wrap everything up. If you get to your conclusion and you want to add it all in, that's fine. But I would spend more time focusing on writing about the sources and making sure the sources are validating your thesis statement. Okay, so the DBQ cons. Well, I did state one con before. If you're not writing enough right now, and if you think that's going to get you credit, that will not. And also, if you think it's an open notes and so it's going to be easy, that is not. This is going to be hard. I definitely can make the argument that this is going to be even harder. They might make it even tougher on us. So just trying to state some, try to be as blunt and honest as I can. Okay, so the first con off the bat, you need to read your thesis statement and you have to figure out, did you just make an argument or did you just tell me a fact? If you just told me that all these were gunpowder empires, and you did period, then that is not that's not a thesis statement. You need to say something. You could say they were ruled by gunpowder, therefore making them extremely effective and long lasting. That's an argument. But don't tell me a fact. You have to make an argument in your thesis. And I have to hit the pause button here because K-Dog is probably climbing out of his crib right now, so let me.
If you're sick.
Say hi, Kevy. Can you say hi?
Hi, Daddy.
Yeah, you guys say hi to today's class. They're invisible, aren't they? Okay, so we're going to finish up here. So Kevy's probably going to think I'm crazy talking to a computer, and not him, but I'm going to start to finish it up. All right, so just make sure you read your opening paragraph and make sure you're making an argument, not just telling me a bunch of facts. If you can't figure out you're making an argument after reading the first paragraph, then you have a problem.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, buddy. Several of us just summarized the documents, and that was it. So don't just tell us what was in the documents. You have to talk about, you have to act like you're a lawyer. Lawyers, what they do is they argue things. So you are a lawyer on this paper. You don't need to tell us this is a document written from the priest to the Pope. And he writes this. And he said this.
Mommy,
I know, Mommy, she's running. She'll be back. So you need to argue things. Okay, so don't summarize. Don't waste your time just summarizing the document. The readers know what's in the document. So, for example, so let's just act like we're a lawyer here. So a lawyer at trial doesn't say, "Look at this knife; it is sharp." They would say, "This knife was found at the scene of the crime, and it just so happens that the defendant is missing the same knife from his kitchen set. Therefore, he must have committed the crime." A lawyer does not say, "Look at this bank account with all these numbers. Look at these numbers right here. It doesn't have any money in it." They say, "No, the defendant had motive to rob the bank. He no longer has any money in his account. He cannot afford to pay a sports card payment." Okay, so you had every document is put in there for a reason, and it is all evidence that can support your thesis statement. If it does not support your thesis statement, you could say that the creator had bias, and therefore it's not an accurate statement of what's really going on. But make sure you're using the documents. Don't just summarize it, because you're not going to get full points if you just summarize the document. So you want to do it. And then this is a good point. I think I put in a video last week or something. Hi, buddy. I love you. I love you. All right. So don't write your "love you" in there. But at the end of a paragraph, what you can do, you can include a sentence and say, "Therefore, comma," and then explain why that document helps your argument. Okay, so that is another little formula to get tips for using the documents correctly. Putting "therefore, comma, this knife proves that the defendant is guilty. Therefore, comma, the broke defendant had motive to rob the bank." I know, choo-choo trains. Chugga, 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 choo-choo. What does a choo-choo train say? What does a choo-choo train say?
Beep, beep.
No, that's what that car says. This would be cuter if you could actually see my buddy. And then also, the document doesn't say anything. A source says something. So don't say document 5 says this. Say Father Simon stated. So don't say the document. All right, so I will stop there with my kind of acting like a coach there. If you have any questions, then let me know and I'll reach out to you. I'll try to give some feedback to everybody that's turned in your stuff. And what I'm going to put here is I'll just say, number 1, please read, chapter 16. And then I'll say, please time yourself as you read these DBQ documents. Okay, but nothing to turn in here. So I'll stop it here. Thanks for bearing with me, and I will catch you all on the flip side.